And that's a wrap. Episode 20 of The Eminence and Shadow. That's a wrap for the first season of the series. We have no idea quite yet on a second season. It seems like there's tons of leaks out there that I completely ignore anymore. I just completely ignore leaks anymore because the IP holders don't like it, and I think people spreading it just kind of makes it worse. But it's good to know that whenever leaks are bad, like I always laugh whenever leaks are bad. Like it's going to happen like right after the last episode airs, they're going to announce it, and that didn't happen. No, it looks like there's an event that's coming in a week, and it's possible that that's when they're going to announce it. There's supposed to be some special, and during that special, they say they have a major announcement, and I can't think of anything that would be a major announcement for an anime than a second season. So I think we'll have to wait till then. So next week, hopefully we'll get some sort of announcement. But until then, just keep your expectations set. I mean, again, the reason why they don't like people that leak stuff is because sometimes it's not true. And guess what? Who gets the flack for it? The company. Everybody yells at them saying, "Where's the second season? You said you're going to have a second season." So anyways, that aside, pretty solid last episode. Thankfully, we had more animation in this episode than I think we've had in most of the series. I got so much flack. I've had so much flack this entire season's airing. I think most people don't like the fact... There's a group of people that don't like whenever you don't like everything about a show. And I personally feel that's an okay thing when you don't enjoy everything. And even a main character like Sid, that I don't technically care for, it's not a bad thing that I don't like him. And I will say, if things went the way that I was assuming it was going to happen, I was literally going to write off Sid completely. Like the whole atomic thing, I was like, are we going to really do this? I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me, but at the same time, I think at that point I would probably just completely 100% write him off as a character that I don't like, because his mindset doesn't really make too much sense to me all the time. He is this, I want to be in the shadows, I want to be this thing, that doing my own thing, essentially, exacting his own justice, completely outside of the spotlight, even though he's way too much in the spotlight. I like that for once he actually acknowledges it himself. He says, wow, they're calling him the Demon Shadow because he created this big O dome, and people thought it was like this portal to the demon realm, and thus he has aligned himself with the demons. There's news articles about it already, but they renamed him as Demon Shadow, and he's like, Demon Shadow, crap. Guess I should be a little bit more inconspicuous about my actions because he's getting too much in the spotlight. But I will give credit to Sid. I think there was a couple scenes in this episode that I really like. The fact that he did finally wield they did a reference back to the first episode again. He dual wielded crowbars, and so that was super cool. And I really love the fact that he points out to Iris that she's using this artifact sword with runes on it. It's mithril made and it's super powerful, and she's like, I hope you don't feel bad or something like that for me using this, or you don't look down upon me or something. And he literally does. He's like, no, it's all right. You could use whatever you want to use. It's a little bit disappointing that you use a crutch, though. That completely sets Iris off. My whole thing with the last episode is I was putting a lot of emphasis on Iris herself and how much things are kind of put upon her, and she's not able to do the things that she wants. I didn't view it too much from a perspective of how, I guess, childish she is, because in the end, she is pretty immature in how she thinks about things. She likes to jump to these conclusions. While her father is there, and I think a couple people commented on this in the last episode, and I completely agree. Her father's kind of there saying, keep in line, and from Iris's perspective, he's literally allowing things to happen because he doesn't want to rock the boat. But if you start thinking about it a little bit more, what did he say? I need concrete evidence. Like, I need something that will prove them positively, like 100%, that they are a part of this cult. And until then, we're not doing anything. Which, yes, in the perspective of a kingdom that has the lives of so many people below them, they have to take action very carefully. And Iris is wanting to jump on something. I got something, jump on it. Jump on it. And he's telling her, chill, we need something concrete. So, yes, in fact, she is a little immature in that regard. And it's sort of sign of it as we get into this episode, and this idea that she's flipping out. Like, she's just angry. Like, here is the guy that I believe caused everything, and I need to destroy him. And so she grabs a sword and she starts going berserk. Absolutely irrational with how she's thinking. And I love how at some point in the fight with, Beatrix and Iris and Sid, the Shadow, and at some point they get this clock tower, and she's yelling at him, you destroyed the town. You are the enemy of this entire country, which he doesn't care. But like, my mind immediately went to, no, girl, you destroy the town. You destroy the town. They're busting down the street, and it's just shattering all the buildings, which I'm assuming there's a huge body count. Otherwise, it's going to be that convenient nobody died. But dang, Iris, and technically Beatrix, You destroyed the whole town. Like, he's just dancing around. I don't even think he ever really struck anything. I mean, yes, I guess he had the crowbars, but he was mostly defending. So it's like that whole aspect of like, you're claiming it's his fault, but you're the one that did it. You're the one that, I'm surprised he didn't point it out, but I think he would love it. Like, he likes to be that. I think he gets a thrill out of being this person that's causing all this havoc. Again, I was kind of fearful in the idea that him doing this whole atomic thing and blowing up the entire city, it was really a flex. Like, he was just kind of going, I could do this. And again, that kind of frustrates Iris. But cool fight, though. I mean, besides a couple points where it's just kind of just nothing but like slash marks, and you're supposed to assume that they're going super fast. I did get a kick out of the fact that Beatrix at some point it sounds like she's frustrated because she's trying to figure him out. And she eventually does. How he's able to kind of move behind her all the time. And she can't sense him. She can't even sense, she's talking about, I can't sense all the raindrops and I can't sense where you're at. But then yet over here, your guys are teleporting all over the place instantaneously. Why would you not? It implies here she's not able to sense him and that he's moving too fast for her. But then over here, they're literally moving that fast. It's that whole issue with like a lot of these big shonen shows is the more powerful you get, the more illogical it gets about how the characters are moving around and how some things work against somebody and sometimes it doesn't. And it contradicts itself. We had a brief shot of Claire. She's wondering who's fighting in the middle of the town. It's like, it's your brother. At some point, we see that Rose tries to figure out what she wants to do going forward. And I think this is kind of a very contested thing. I got a lot of dislikes last episode impressions because of this. My whole point was the idea that Pervashat had set up this whole plan, that he was going to kill the king if Rose didn't show up. And his point was to do it during this match. And he doesn't. Now, I agree with a lot of people in the idea that, yes, Beatrix being there could have offset him, but it didn't state that. And yes, technically the king kind of just dipped the moment that it was over, which you'd assume it was going to be a fast fight anyways, because this is Iris, the one that won the last Bushin festival. But that all aside, like, it's not that big of a deal. I think the thing that's still kind of lingering, though, from that scene, and I still hold to it, is why did Rose leave? I agree with a lot of people that if my father was destroyed mentally by some person and I was resolved to come in there and end his life, in his suffering, why would I not take the guy's life that caused it all before I end my own life? Yes, he's going to get replaced. Pervashat is obviously a tool amongst many tools. We see that again in this episode. But why would you not get revenge first? If you're going to just end your life anyways, you might as well take out the guy that ruined your father. I would. Like, if I was resolved to do all that, I would take him out. Heck yeah. Get that revenge. But again, it goes to the whole point of why did Rose leave? Like, again, she was technically resolved to end her own life, but I guess like on a whim because this bandit guy showed up and that she looks up to. I don't know what he said that and tells her, okay, I gotta go over here. But it does imply the idea that yes, she left and she's like, what do I do now? Do I join the anti-Pervashat group? Do I go back home? What do I do? And yes, finally, she gets the extended invitation. She's going to join Shadow Garden. Now, it's interesting because when Alpha presents this to Rose, it puts it in a way that Rose wants to know, can I save my kingdom? And it was odd because I almost assumed that Alpha was going to say, no, that's not our goal. It's not technically their goal. I mean, their goal is to do whatever they think Sid wants them to do. And half the time, it seems like they're trying to figure it out as they go along. But it never implied that was their goal. Like, specifically, Orion is their goal. But it does sort of correct itself, and yet Rose eventually says, if it's proved that it needs to be saved, like, yeah, if your kingdom is good, if your kingdom is not against us, sure, why not? It's all into the mold of what they believe Sid wants. It's taking down the cult of Diablo. So as long as the cult of Diablo is not Orion, and yes, technically if Orion itself can be saved through the destruction of cult of Diablo, yeah. I mean, if you could prove it to us, and you're worthy, sure. It makes perfect sense. I did get a kick out of the fact that when they were fighting through the town, you can see like these little brief shots of like Anna Rose, and she's like, oh, I hope I get to meet Mundane Man again. And like right behind her, there's like this combustion happening. Sid pointing out they're both sisters of wild beasts. I'm surprised that Beatrix didn't pick up on that statement, unless it was like just him thinking it. But yeah, after everything's over, the dust settles, Sid leaves, Iris wails like a child. Like I said, I understand the pain of Iris. I think I was sympathizing a lot with her in the last episode. But again, it's one of those signs of like how immature she is. That she's just so frustrated and so angry. And yes, not willing to kind of stand up. And she does. I mean, she stands back up. And Beatrix is like, you're not going to be able to beat anything. There's going to be things that mortals can't face. There's tons of them out there, but she's still moving forward. I think it's going to be a huge growing point for her. I really do think this is like her getting her face smushed in the ground. And I think knowing her limits, knowing her capacity, it's going to make her stronger. I think going forward, Iris is going to be probably like a really pinnacle point in the story. I just really feel like there's been so much emphasis put in her growth that this is the point that she's going to really start marching forward. But yes, we got quite a bit of tease at the end here, and this is where we like the rest of this episode beyond the fight is like nothing but, if you don't give us another season, middle finger at you. But no, it essentially establishes a couple things. One being, obviously, Shadow Garden, once again, trying to figure out exactly what Cid wants to do. They claim that he wants to essentially pull the attention of everything to himself, because they have all these articles about him being alliance with the demons and all this kind of stuff. But they believe that he wants to pull attention to himself so that Midgard doesn't get involved with Orion. But also that they're building up communication with the other side. The other side being possibly this Alexandria, they reveal, or possibly the Lawless City, this underworld or whatever, because it seems like they're putting a lot of emphasis on that. But it extends in the idea that they're pointing out later on that, yes, the school's being rebuilt by them, essentially, the corporation that they're building. They built Alexandria, and they're also mentioning the idea that they're pretty much preparing to go public. Everything is set up for the public engagement. It does seem like right now, their focus is to maybe bring Alexandria or the Shadow Garden to the public. Let everybody know what they're doing. Now, I don't know why they would do that, because again, that's sort of counter to what Shadow wants. He doesn't want to be in the public. So to bring the Shadow Garden or whatever they're doing to the public eye doesn't make much sense. Maybe it's possibly just what Gamma's working on, her corporation, bringing that to the light, sort of making this corporation that's separate from Shadow Garden in the public eye, make that public. Like, they're helping. Make a kingdom that is the public, but it's technically funded and controlled by Shadow Garden. That would make more sense to Shadow's desire to be in the shadows, but we'll see. But yeah, apparently Alexandria is in this area that's like the domain of the Mist Dragon. He beat him, and he allowed him to basically live in that domain, so he just built Shadow Garden in there, or Shadow Garden built their place there. We got a brief shot of Sherry. She's still being weird. I've wrote off Sherry. I think she's just going to be super crazy, and I'm probably not going to like her when she shows back up. She's obsessed with Shadow still. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up the episode with Rose being introduced into the Shadow Garden. She meets Lambda, who is going to be training her. She is the 666th member. Sure, gotta put that number in there somehow. It's so super cool. Some of these writers, it's like, ooh, edgy. But no, shreds up everything, including her burger wrapper, which she's obsessed with because Rose is obsessed with Cid. And that's the only thing she has of Cid. But that's the whole point. She's supposed to discard everything of herself. And that includes her connection to Cid. Symbolisms. Your connection to Cid has to be removed. But no, pretty cool wrap up. It does have me pretty excited for season 2, honestly. I think it seems like it's been gradually more and more focusing on Shadow Garden. And like I've said several times before, that's my appeal to the show. Again, I don't have to like Cid to enjoy the show. And some people believe that you have to like Cid to enjoy the show. I do believe you have to like Cid in order to enjoy 100% of the show. I won't argue that. But Shadow Garden was my appeal, and Shadow Garden still is my appeal to this. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe in second season, things will shift more to be more heavily focused on Shadow Garden. Like I said, technically for a good chunk of this second core, it was Shadow Garden. It was Rose. It was Alexia. It was Natsumi. It was Shadow Garden. The opponents of Mundane Man and whatnot. So we'll see. Like I said, next week, we will hopefully get an announcement for a second season. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get announced earlier. That probably means that it could be a fall show at the earliest. Maybe next year is when it's going to be airing. So we'll see. It just really depends on how early they've been really thinking about doing a second season. If their decision is at this point, then it could possibly be a late 2024 show. So we'll see. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the finale, episode 20 of The Eminence and Shadows. I greatly appreciate you guys' support for watching these weekly videos, even if some of you don't completely agree with me. I do like the idea that some people respect when somebody doesn't fully love something they love. I had the same experience with Mob Psycho season 3 last season, and this idea that I like the show, I just don't love it. And there's a lot of people out there that respect that mindset. And I think that was the case with Eminence Shadow too. It's just quite a few people like to dislike my videos. Anyhow, I greatly appreciate you guys for dropping by. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button to get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you like this video, make sure that like button down below and leave me a comment. If you'd like to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, and a membership button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody's support, and y'all take care.